You think you can just ignore the rules here? The police are on their way. Those were Celeste Whitmore's first words to me, her voice cracking through the air, cheeks red as she blocked my driveway. Here's the twist. I wasn't even part of her HOA, not legally, not in any way that counted. But that was a fact she refused to believe. And it turns out, folks like Celeste don't let reality get in the way of a good performance. You ever met someone like that? Yeah, I bet you have. So, picture a Friday afternoon in Georgia, sun blazing so hot the blacktop feels like it might bubble under your boots, and there's Celeste, HOA president in her pastel sweater, marching across Cedar Ridge Lane like she's late for a coup, blonde bob hairdo fixed, and not a single strand out of place. That clipboard held up like a shield. I don't even step out of my truck at first, just let my phone start recording because, well, old habits. Years as a real estate appraiser will teach you to keep a record of every little thing, especially when things smell like trouble. She gets right to it. Clipboard up, violation notice fluttering. Mr. Hartwell, your grass is too long, your paint wasn't approved, your truck's parked wrong, and so on. She rattles off a list designed to make anyone fold, except I don't. I wait till she's done with her little monologue, and then I tell her, calm as can be, I'm not a member of your HOA, my property isn't bound by your covenant. Her face goes from confusion to insult, then something darker, something like panic. That's impossible. I bought the house 3 weeks ago, I tell her. County tax auction. All legal. Brennan shuts his notebook, tells her to withdraw her complaint. I figure that's the end, but man, was I wrong. See, I hadn't just found freedom from a petty citation. I'd landed smack in the middle of a mess Celeste and her board had spent years hiding. It started quietly, with fancy letters and emails, annual dues, architectural review requests, all with that HOA logo stamped in gold. I sent polite replies, attached PDFs, pointed out my properties not included, crickets. Then the tone sharpens, late fees, threats of legal action. Next, violation notices delivered by hand, fines for grass height, for my trash can, even for my truck being parked too close to the common easement. Each time, demands for $675, and the cherry on top, the law firm's run by Celeste's husband, Russell. Now that's a conflict of interest if I ever saw one. My buddy Kieran, a real estate attorney, tells me this is textbook slap, strategic lawsuit against public participation, meant to bully folks into silence. But here's where things get interesting. Kieran nudges me to stop defending and start digging. I hit the public records hard. HOA contracts, meeting minutes, county filings, and the picture that forms is crystal clear. Since Celeste took over, all the landscaping contracts have gone to a company called Green Edge, billing the HOA $300,000 a year, triple what the previous company charged. And guess who owns Green Edge? Russell Whitmore. So they're funneling HOA money. Auditors. But here's the kicker. They budgeted the HOA's expenses for 42 households, but legally, there are only 41. They were counting on my lot, money they'd never had access to, but had already. A folder of screenshots and emails. Celeste had been scheming to pull Lot 42 into the HOA for over a year, even coaching the board how to make life uncomfortable for any holdout. She's not the only casualty. 3 families moved out after relentless pressure, each selling at a loss. Armed with this mountain of evidence, I don't just fight back. I buy the HOA's common property at a tax auction. But Georgia law says all residents can attend. So I walk in, folder in hand, and lay it all out. Fake violations, self-dealing, missing money, everything. The room erupts. Neighbors who thought they were powerless realize they've been getting fleeced. Mrs. Holloway and others step up, confirm my story. When the votes are counted, Celeste and Russell are booted from the board, Green Edge gets. And the neighborhood feels lighter. Nessa's friend's mom even apologizes. I never set out to be a hero, but sometimes standing up for yourself gives others permission to do the same. In time, our story spreads. Other neighborhoods call for advice. A local paper runs a feature, and the state passes new laws to prevent this kind of abuse. I help put together a guide for other homeowners facing HOA corruption, and it gets thousands of downloads. Some days I sit on the porch, Nessa by my side, lemonade in hand, and I marvel at how a fight I never wanted turned into something bigger, how a single stand for what's right can ripple out and change everything. Look, if you're dealing with folks who think power gives them a blank check, remember, you're not alone. Document everything. Know your rights. Speak up. And don't let anyone convince you that justice is impossible. It's just a little harder and a lot more satisfying when you win. So let me ask you, what would you have done in my shoes? Ever gone toe-to-toe with an HOA or someone on a power trip? Drop your stories down below. Let's see if we can start a little wave of justice. One neighborhood at a time. Honestly, I thought that would be the end of it. You'd think booting out a crooked board, lowering dues, and returning stolen money would be enough to let a neighborhood breathe easy for a while. But Cedar Ridge wasn't built for peace and quiet. Not yet. Not with all those old wounds still bleeding under the surface, folks trading whispers about who knew whatn't. When, neighbors wondering if they'd missed the warning signs or just ignored them because it was easier. So, 2 weeks after the board turned over, Mrs. Holloway calls me, her voice a little lighter. This time, almost playful. Tobias, you coming to the meeting tonight, or do we have to vote on it? I laugh. Tell her I'll be there, even though part of me still half expects to walk in and see Celeste standing at the podium, clipboard in hand, ready to invent a new bylaw just to keep me out. But that's not how it is anymore. The first meeting under the new board feels different. No tension, no side-eye glances, just neighbors sitting in folding chairs, waiting to see if maybe, just maybe, the place can become what it was always supposed to be. Patricia Chun, retired CPA, new board treasurer, presents the audit results in plain English, every dollar traced, every phantom expense laid bare. There's anger, sure, but also relief, like pulling a splinter that's been festering for years. And man, when the new landscaping contract comes in, $135,000 for the exact same service that Green Edge billed $300,000 for, the room erupts. Folks start to realize just how much they've been paying for nothing. Dues are cut almost overnight. The new rules require every contract over $50,000 gets a full membership vote, and all finances are posted online. Simple, but powerful. Sunlight is a great disinfectant. I get a thank you pie from Mrs. Holloway, a real Southern peach pie, still warm. You gave us our community back, she says, but the truth is, it wasn't just me. It was every neighbor who stood up, every voice that said enough is enough. Even Nessa feels the difference. She gets invited to birthday parties again, and when Emma's mom comes by to apologize, Nessa listens politely but doesn't rush back into that friendship. She's smarter than I was at her age, already learning that trust is earned, not given just because someone's finally us in the paper. Turns out, corruption in HOAs isn't exactly rare. A few of us get together. Me, Mrs. Holloway, Kieran, Tom Bradley, Patricia, write up a practical guide, nothing fancy, with their own bullies and suits. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution runs a story on Cedar Ridge, calls us a model for HOA reform. Politicians jump on the bandwagon. State lawmakers draft a bill that requires all HOAs with big budgets to do independent audits every year, bans undisclosed self-dealing, and for the first time, folks actually show up at hearings to testify. The bill passes. Celeste and Russell take a plea deal, have to pay back every cent they stole, lose their right to serve on any HOA board, and spend a lot of Saturdays picking up trash on the side of the highway. I don't watch the sentencing. Feels pointless, honestly. Justice isn't about seeing people punished. It's about making sure it doesn't happen again. And Cedar Ridge? Well, it starts to heal. Furniture. Hang her artwork in the hallway. Let the house breathe. One afternoon, a man named James Reeves pulls up while I'm mowing the lawn, says his HOA tried to pull the same stunt. But after reading our guide, he got enough neighbors together to force an audit and kick out a crooked board president. He thanks me, but all I did was show it could be done. He did the rest. Start cleaning. These days, when folks ask what changed everything, I tell them it was never about the money or the property lines. It was about people getting tired of being pushed around, about neighbors realizing that silence helps no one, and the only way a bully wins is if we all stay quiet. Before bed, I'll sometimes check the downloads on that guide, tens of thousands now, all over the country. I read the comments. I thought I was alone. I didn't know I had rights. Thanks for giving me hope. And I realize, maybe that's what community is really about, watching out for each other, even when it's hard, even when it feels like you're the only one standing up. So, if you're out there dealing with a power-hungry HOA, a stubborn neighbor, or anyone who thinks they're above the rules, remember, you're not alone. Document everything, don't back down, and don't let anyone convince you that justice isn't worth fighting for. Hard doesn't mean impossible, and sometimes the smallest stand can spark a change you never imagined. What about you? Ever gone up against a bully with more power than sense? Drop your story in the comments. Let's remind each other, the only thing necessary for justice to win is for good people to keep showing up and speaking out.